I was 19 when I moved into my sister's house. I thought it would be a fresh start. After losing my job and struggling to afford rent, my sister offered me a place to stay until I could get back on my feet. She and her husband welcomed me warmly. Their children laughed every evening, and for a moment, it felt like I had found peace. But there was one person who made that peace disappear. My sister's father-in-law. He visited almost every day. At first, I believed he was simply friendly. Then I noticed the way he stared whenever everyone else looked away. His eyes stayed on me too long. Sometimes he would stand unnecessarily close. Other times he would touch my shoulder or back while pretending it was accidental. Every instinct told me something was wrong. I wanted to tell my sister, but every time I tried, I convinced myself I was imagining things. He was respected by everyone. He was older, polite in public, generous with the grandchildren. Who would believe me? Weeks passed. I became quieter. I spent more time in my room, avoiding family gatherings whenever he visited. My sister thought I was depressed because of money problems. The truth was much harder to explain. Then came the wedding. Almost everyone left early that afternoon. My sister smiled before leaving. "We'll be back tomorrow." I nodded. I didn't realize those words would become the beginning of the longest night of my life. Only two people remained inside the house. Him and me. The house felt strangely silent. That evening he suggested we stay awake and watch television together. I refused politely. I went to my room and locked the door. A few minutes later, someone knocked. It was him. "There isn't enough space prepared tonight," he said calmly. "We'll just sleep in the same room." My heart dropped. I tried to make excuses. "I'll sleep on the couch." "No," he replied. His voice was gentle, but something about it frightened me. I barely slept that night. Every sound made my heart race. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds until sunrise. When morning finally arrived, I walked outside just to breathe. I realized something important. I wasn't safe anymore. The next day, my sister returned. She immediately noticed something was different. "You look exhausted." "I'm fine," I lied. But I wasn't. Over the next several weeks, my anxiety grew worse. I stopped eating properly. Couldn't sleep. I jumped whenever someone touched my shoulder. I blamed myself for staying silent. Then one evening my sister found me crying alone. She didn't ask many questions. She simply sat beside me. Sometimes kindness breaks the walls we've built around ourselves. For the first time, I told someone the truth. I expected disbelief. Instead, she hugged me. She cried harder than I did. "I am so sorry," she whispered. "I should have noticed." Neither of us slept that night. The following morning, she confronted her husband. Then the rest of the family. Not everyone believed me. Some said I must have misunderstood. Others claimed I was trying to destroy the family. Those words hurt almost as much as the silence I'd carried for weeks. But something unexpected happened. Another relative quietly admitted they had always felt uncomfortable around him too. Then another. Slowly, pieces of a much larger picture began coming together. I wasn't alone. I had never been alone. People had simply been too afraid to speak. My sister made a difficult decision. She cut all contact with him. Some relatives criticized her. Others supported us. Families don't always survive painful truths. Sometimes truth divides people before it heals them. The following months weren't easy. I started therapy. At first I hated talking. Then I learned something powerful. Healing isn't about forgetting. It's about refusing to let someone else's actions define your future. I also discovered something about myself. For years I had hidden another truth. I was gay. I had spent most of my teenage years pretending to be someone I wasn't because I feared rejection. What happened to me didn't define my identity. Being abused by someone is never the same as choosing who you love. Those are completely different things. For the first time in my life, I stopped hiding. I joined an LGBTQ support group. I met people who understood trauma, fear, loneliness, and hope. They never judged me. They simply listened. Months later, I met Daniel. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't perfect. He was patient. When I struggled with nightmares, he never forced conversations. When I needed silence, he stayed beside me. He reminded me every day that healthy love never demands fear. Real love creates safety. Years have passed since that night. The memories haven't completely disappeared. Some never do. But they no longer control my life. Today I speak openly because someone else might be carrying the same secret I once carried. If that's you, please know this. What happened was not your fault. You deserve to be believed. You deserve safety. You deserve love that never makes you afraid. And no matter how dark one night becomes, it does not get to decide the rest of your story. Sometimes surviving is the bravest thing a person will ever do. And sometimes telling the truth becomes the first step toward finally becoming free.